Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Shane, directed by George Stevens in 1953. So yes, another Western review of course. This is a film I had never seen. This is my first view tonight. And here we are with this Master of Cinema Blu-ray here, one that I picked up very recently. And yes, of course, spine number 123, and of course, yes, another one to add to my collection here. So yes, it's a film that I've never seen, heard so much about. I'd seen, little clips here and there and stuff, and yeah, just heard so much about this over the years. It's regarded as one of the very best westerns by a lot of people. Critics polls and stuff. It is very, very high. Just films in general. I believe it was on the AFI top 100. Sound polls and stuff, etc. And actually at times, some say it's the greatest western ever made. I knew, of course, that it wasn't going to be that for me. It can't beat Dances with Wolves and The Good, Bad, and the Ugly and stuff. Once Upon the West. But yes, this film, I had very, very high hopes for it. I thought this could be a great, great film that I could love. I do, of course, love westerns overall. One of my favourite genres, if not my favourite kind of specific genre in cinema. So yes, much anticipation for this. I think I heard so much about it over the years. It hasn't got the highest of scores on IMDb, 7.7 and stuff. But yeah, I thought let's just watch it tonight. So I sat down to watch it, of course. And yes, it's very very similar to a lot of in terms of the plot, very similar to a lot of westerns, of course. This gunslinger, played by Alan Ladd, of course, he's of course referred to as Shane in the film. And yes, basically wanders into this Wyoming town, with kind of the motives to become a farmhand, and of course he comes into contact with this this character of Joe, who basically very early on as well, Shane accepts to be the farmhand of Joe, and of course his wife Marion, and of course you've got the little kid Joey in the film. So yes, this is a very very small family that he kind of basically forms relationships with. It's kind of a family film, and eventually, he kind of gets mixed up in the feud between them and the town and kind of the cattle baron in the film, referred to as Riker. He's a ruthless guy who basically, he's trying to exploit these people and run them out of town and stuff. It's very very of course themes and stuff that would appear in a lot of westerns. Of course, many themes in this film. Of course, the values of family, all present here. And yes, it's kind of really praised this film for its cinematography as well. The cinematography throughout was absolutely stunning. It has a couple of issues in the editing, but the cinematography is really, really wonderful here. The way the landscapes are captured, just the framing in every shot really, it's absolutely stunning. The shootouts, very, very minimal shootouts in the film. They're great. The way they're kind of framed and as well the way they're edited together is great. As are the kind of fist fights in the film, which is a bit more heavy going than the actual gunplay. So yes, what do I think of the film? I think it's a great film. Really loved that actually. I think it's not one of the best westerns ever made for me personally. It's not top 10 or anything, but I think definitely another great western that I did actually in the end love. I think just these characters, Shane himself, Joey. I love the relationship between Joey and, of course, Shane in the film. Just great stuff. It's very, very warm and charming. And of course, I just kind of, it was just very, very engaging. Mostly this narrative, the struggle, just the way that it's kind of very, very easy to kind of connect to. I think it was very, very warm. As I say, it had such a heart to the film, and just the very, it's such a kind of entertaining family film that's just really, really uplifting at times. It is very, very powerful, especially the ending, of course, and just a great film. I'll get the flaws out of the way. I think some of the editing is a bit off. I think some of the parts, where it does kind of show the reaction shots to Joey are a bit off. They're kind of a bit too much, and also I think just a bit kind of pointless at times. It came across as a bit weird. And speaking of weird, there is some bizarre moments, in the film. I think, but it's kind of there's a charm to it, but there is bizarre moments, even so, and of course, just involving, actually sometimes with the kid Joey, the kind of the things he does and stuff, the bit where the bit where Shane shows him how to shoot and stuff. That was a scene. It was a great scene, but that bit where he makes that noise and stuff. They edited in there. Very strange, and just some of the parts, with the fights actually, and the banter was just a bit weird, a bit bizarre. It didn't taint the film too much. The main thing, why the dog mocks off in this film, and it doesn't, reach for me personally, kind of full 5-star kind of quality, 10 out of 10. It's just because it didn't quite reach its full potential for me. I think this could have been even better than it was. I think just times here and there, slightly flat, and if they had developed the characters even more, and stuff, and yeah, just the overall, the actual overall investment, if that was higher, definitely could have been a 10 out of 10, or close to. Just didn't. There was just times in this film, Shane, where I kind of I thought it definitely could have been better in some areas. I think, but of course, a great film. It's not a film that I think why is this so acclaimed? Because it was great. I was moved by it. It's a sweeping film, while also being very, very personal and focused. Very, very small kind of communities in the film. It portrays a sense of community wonderfully, and of course you've got a great villain in the film, Riker. It's just a great first act as well. The setup to the film, some of my favourite parts, just instantly kind of drew me in, and the dynamics are set up wonderfully. It does falter a bit throughout the film, but really the first act of the film, the opening, is great stuff. I didn't really have too much problems there. And yeah, I think Alan Ladd gives a great performance. Not one of the best protagonists in a western. I think I think they achieve wonderfully actually the mystery of the character. Again, I think he's a character maybe that could have been given a bit more depth. To kind of elevate the film even higher. But it's just nitpicks in its own right. It is great, this character. I loved the way he kind of formed relationships throughout the film, and it's just a great character overall. I love the performance of Alan Ladd. It really was great. Very, very minimalist at times, but at least there's nothing over the top here in this character. And he's someone that you kind of get behind. Of course, he's very, very, he's kind of a very, very grey character. Very, very kind of flawed, and not, one-sided at all. So it's a great character. Some similar qualities here. We've got a few westerns I've seen. I don't think he's one of the best protagonists though, but still, great character, great performance, and just the side characters as well. Marion, Joe, great characters. I've really felt a lot of emotions for them, and Joey, of course, really, really great performance, and stuff. And I think just very, very charming stuff. What went on there. The relationship was very, very heartfelt. It's kind of like a father-son sort of relationship. It was just very, very warm and tender. And then, of course, really emotional times. The ending to this film is something else. It's a legendary ending. Really is. And, of course, the final shot when the music just comes in, it kicks in. Great ending. I think the music throughout was absolutely stunning. Really, really kind of whimsical. Kind of just an epic score. And also just really, really, just really emotional. It's kind of adds to the mythic feel the film has. It does achieve this, and combine that with the kind of the cinematography, which is wonderful. It really is something else. I love the sense of time and place. All the costumes, the sets are great. While they don't feel overdone. I just love this film. I think, yes, it has some flaws. At times the editing is a bit off, and just overall, there are a couple bizarre moments, and as I say, it doesn't quite reach its potential. In terms of the narrative, the emotions, and just the overall film as a whole. It doesn't quite reach that kind of full marks status. I don't really care, but I think I definitely wouldn't say that it's one of the best films I've made. I don't agree with that. I think definitely there are better westerns than this, and stuff, and ones that are similar, even very, very similar. Pale Rider, that's a film that I think is a masterpiece. Definitely better than this one, and it's a film that doesn't really get too too much to talk that often, but I think it's a great Clint Eastwood film, very similar to this. I think that's better. As I said, there are quite a few westerns that are better than this. One that I watched recently, I've yet to review, is My Darling Clementine. That was definitely better. But it's a great film regardless. Well, it's not top 10 material westerns or one of the best films ever made or anything. I do think it's great. I can understand how so many people love the film. I love the film. I was so invested. Mostly, as I say, slightly flat moments here and there. But these are flaws that I've mentioned that are just very very small. Kind of sparse, few and far between. The flaws, and just add to that. The fact it doesn't quite reach the full potential, but still a wonderful film, full of charm and wonder, and just really invest in stuff. Some really powerful messages and themes. It has to be called a great film in my opinion, and I have to give it a 92%. I really love this film. Yes, it wasn't a masterpiece for me, but there are films that I've seen that I praise more than this, and I've been really disappointed with. As far as things go, the fact that I'll probably at least put this, at the moment on my top 500 films, kind of thing, or at least an honorable mention. That's all that counts really. It doesn't have to be one of the 100 best, like some say. I don't have to agree with that. I do think it's great, and I don't think, I don't think it's one of the best westerns, but I do love the film. Would highly recommend this one. I think it's very relatable. It's a very very peaceful film. One that I found lots of comfort in. This is a film that I could easily watch again and just find comfort in returning to. It was just very very comforting and put me at ease. While also being very very dramatic at times. And stuff. As I say, there's some slight issues in the film. Even some flat moments here and there, and some bizarre moments. The editing is sometimes not perfect. But as I say, these are very very littered throughout in small occasions, not for too long. So it's nothing too major. And it doesn't quite reach the potential for me overall. It doesn't quite elevate to that level, full mark status. But it's a great film. It's very spiritual. The characters certainly early on are very quite masterfully defined at times. Just ones that I got behind. I really loved the chemistry. I love the relationships overall. Great protagonist. Well, not one of the best protagonists in a western. Great protagonist, and the performances, of course, for me are great. A great villain in the film, and just really, really wonderful visuals. The visual storytelling in this film is great, and top that off with a wonderful ending that really, really hits you. And it's just a mythic ending. It really is to quite a legendary film at times. I did love it, and yeah, it's shown definitely for me. I agree, it's a great western. Definitely. Among the best, not, as I say, top 10 or anything like that, but a great film. This one certainly is, and of course, the Masters of Cinema edition was not great. The menus on this as well, I have to say, the menus on the Masters of Cinema, Blu-rays are pretty crap. It's a real shame. Very, very just basic and quite ugly. I think definitely I would like improvements on that because I'm not impressed. But there was also some sound issues, this one, of course. But, it was a great experience. A very, very warm film with a lot of heart and passion, for the land as well. All these themes that are present in a lot of westerns, really wonderfully portrayed here. While a bit flawed and didn't quite reach its full potential. A great film that I did love. So, yes. Thanks for watching my review.